Okay, so we're going to start, yeah. So I'm not going to wait for the others to join, yeah. So whether they join or not, maybe because of the internet connection, or maybe having breakfast, I don't know. So at the end of the day, you must plan your time. How you manage your time, it's all up to you. If you sleep quite late, especially like those boys, if you happen to watch football match, I know it's very interesting match, but we also need to, because you have class in the morning, not just you guys, but I also have a lot of works need to be done. Okay, in the previous lessons, all of you in a way have attempted on the first draft of your essay, and we'll just go through, browse through, and I will show you sample of band 6 um, white paper for task 2. But for now, because this is taken from your textbook, yeah? But we need to go through once again to refresh your memory, okay? Now, let's just look at practice 1 first. Um, you recently attended an educational fair, so hang on. Okay, so educational fair, let me just try to use this. Okay, so sometimes in the exam, you try to highlight um, just a minute, somebody wants to join. Okay. Okay, so recently attended an educational fair. So where one of the speakers talk about local universities. So we're talking about local universities, yeah? So the following comment was made by the speaker. Today, many students still believe that it is better to study abroad than at the local universities. So this was the statement. So you need to write an essay expressing your opinion. Okay, expressing your opinion on the statement, write at least 250 words. Now in the past, students are required to write about 350 words, but because of the duration of time for the paper has been reduced. So they put a minimum there, 250 words. But again, the structure is still the same, whereby we have 5 paragraphs. First paragraph will be the introduction and 3 body paragraphs and 1 conclusion. Now, if you look at this table here, whether you agree or disagree or neutral. Now, no matter how good the student is, I always try to recommend the students to look into one perspective only, which will be easier for you to focus. It's either you agree or disagree, okay? Because a lot of like some students, they try to be neutral, but it's not going to be easy because the how you started your introduction and how you conclude, that will be another story. So I would strongly recommend all of you to be safe, stay safe, safer if you choose only one side, whether you choose to agree or whether you choose to disagree. Okay. Um, Now let's just look once again on the point here on the agree. Now I agree can be more independent. The whole idea here. Okay, just go through. Can be more independent, chance to develop your own abilities and hone your own skills. Learn to take responsibility for your actions. Now can be more independent. So you need to prove that how in a way that when you study abroad, meaning outside Malaysia, yeah. So example, like if you given the chance to study abroad, example like Japan, Tokyo, Japan, for example. So how in a way the environment, studying abroad will actually help you to become more independent. So that's the main point here. The main point here can be more independent, and so you need to prove. Let's go through here. Okay, can be more independent. So you need to highlight how does in a way you actually prove independent. Now you look at the example here. I didn't say the textbook is the best example, but this is just, let's just go through. chance to develop your own abilities and hone your own skills. So this explanation, the first bullet here, you need to link back to the main point. How in a way that this first bullet here, in a way proves that it shows that you are independent. And number two, learn to take responsibility for your own actions. Again, how do you prove that it will actually help you to become more independent? And after that, you need to strengthen or reinforce back your argument, saying that that's why it is better to study abroad. Remember that, okay? Um, that's for the first point. Now the second point here, to form new and rewarding relationship. Okay, so the first one here, we'll have a large community of students both from the local area and all around the globe. So if you get a chance to study abroad, example England, yeah, maybe you are in somewhere in London, and how in a way that when you talk about studying abroad is actually better because you got the chance to form new and rewarding relationships. So you have to prove that in a mixed community, the fusion of different races, especially in overseas, will actually help you to form new and rewarding relationships. So you can talk about the rewarding and the new. Yeah. So you have to expand your ideas, the new and rewarding relationship. Okay. Just a minute. Okay, now bullet number two offers you the chance to meet new people and form friendships that may last a lifetime. That may last a lifetime. Again, this second bullet also again to prove that how in a way that it will form new and rewarding relationship. And after that, you have to link back to the keyword. The keyword here is better to study abroad. Okay, so far so good. Yeah. So first point, second point, and the third point is change the way you think. So the whole idea is how do you prove that it is better to study abroad? Again, the keyword here, just better to study abroad. Yeah. So for those who choose to agree, you have to prove in whatever ways or whatever means how in a way that it is better. Okay, change the way you think and helps you to understand. Um, so first, Buddhist helps you to understand and analyze problems from a global perspective, and you link to the main point here, the third point, and after that you must always link. That's why at the sub conclusion of this, the third point, you have to strengthen back the argument and linking back to the keyword better to study abroad. Now, the second part, second bullet here, learn to appreciate diversity. So again, if you talk about changing the way you think, then you try to relate the second bullet to the main point. Okay? So far, so good, class? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay, because I cannot watch the Google Meet because I opened my my Microsoft Word. Okay. Okay, so that's for the agreeing part. Yeah. Now let me just delete. Yeah. Now let's look at the if you choose to disagree. You know, sometimes it's not the way that we if we got a chance to go study abroad. Yeah, we all of us we want to, but again, you talk about your budget, right? It's quite in a way ambitious for some parents. if they have the budget, no problem. Okay, when you send your kids, example like those parents who wanted to send their kids abroad to expand the horizon. Not just that, because sometimes now, like some of you here, for example, um, if you wish to study abroad, example like if you want to go to Australia, so you finish your degree, then after that you continue your master degree. So um, depending on the skill migrations law, yeah, sometimes those master degree students, after finish the 2 years master's degree, they are allowed to stay and work in Australia. So that was in a way advantage for those who further studies abroad. But that's for Australia, but not for United Kingdom anymore. England, they didn't allow that anymore. Even if you plan to do your master's degree, even if you plan to do your PhD, those who have completed their studies, they have to go back to Malaysia. Okay, so that was the deal. And a lot of the Malaysian students who went abroad, and it was very frustrating because when the government has changed the law saying that all PhD students, all master degree students, all degree students, if you complete your study, you must go back. There is no way that you can stay in England thinking that you get your permanent residence. Okay, it doesn't work in that way anymore. But Australia, they still in a way allowed. Yeah. So again, if you wish to study abroad, it's all up to your. You need to analyze the situation first. You can't um, straight away decide. Oh, I better go to England. Of course, if you have the luxury and the money, why not? But if given a chance for me to go to England, I would just go and travel, and then after that come back just to get the experience. Okay, now if you choose to disagree, yeah, if you choose to disagree, now let's look at the first the first point. Quality of local education has improved. Well, you can actually look at the ranking. So far, Malaysia, United University Malaya has improved their rank. I think, if I'm not mistaken, they are ranked 60 or 65. So now ranking is ranking, but again, it also proves that we have improved. We are not left behind. It's just not your rank number one, but with that ranking, it shows the quality. That's why we have the MSISO to show and to prove that all the standards have been followed. Yeah, so this is the international standards. When again, you have to prove on par with international standards. How do you know that? That's why when you do your write up on this first this practice one, you need to go to the internet and find relevant facts. So example, like you go and look for the ranking. Experienced staff, yes, we have um, those working example like in they are probably having more than 10 years experience. And now those who plan to become a lecturer, for example, yeah, if you plan to become lecturer in the future, um, you are in the past, if you finish your degree, then you have your master's, then you can join. But now those who have PhD are only allowed to join the teaching, to join as a lecturer in faculties, in universities level. Yeah, so that's in a way to improve the quality and also the experience. So it means that those who have gone through part of the professional development, that's why they continue from degree to master degree, then to PhD. Okay, now the second one is able to save cost. This one is definitely easier for all of you, yeah, because this is very relevant. Need to pay accommodation, meals, tuition fees. Of course, if you compare you can do comparison of your expenditure for local and also for of abroad. Now, even like if you plan to study at UMS and compare with if you wish to go and continue your study in KL, for example. When I was when I did my degree, I have to pay quite a lot. Yeah, the living cost in KL is much higher, and of course, the fortunate luckily we were provided for the hostel, which we call it as college. Now, you need to pay for accommodation, meals, tuition fees. So you do comparisons between local and abroad. Yeah. Now, living locally, expenses lower. No need to worry about being a financial burden to the family. Now, again, at the end of the day, all these explanations, you try to lean back to the, what's the keyword here, to study abroad. So if in a way that you disagree, that you have to dispute that, that's why it is better to go for local rather than abroad. So you do comparison between these two. Look at the keyword here. So every time you explain, you compare. In your write-up, you compare the keyword here. Now, number 3, feel more comfortable and safer. Nearer to home, no homesickness or culture shock. Yeah, maybe, I'm not sure, but the girls, especially the girls, sometimes if you feel very homesick, yeah, if you go to example, like you got a chance to study abroad. Abroad means like not far from KK. Maybe the nearest one will be Kuching, or maybe the nearest one will be in Kuala Lumpur or Selangor. But you still feel that it is still quite near, rather than if you're sent to Brazil, if you're so far away, and to go back is not easy. Imagine the cost of the flight and the cost of traveling is so high. And now just look at the pandemic. This pandemic time, the flight ticket is so expensive. Yeah. Now you feel more comfortable and safer. Locally, we have UITM. We also have UMS. We also have private colleges and uni as well, like Unita, Inti College. What else? UCSF. Um, there's also other, still in a way, private colleges. A lot of names here, but they also link to. Some of them are in a way certified by MQA. Okay. Now, feel more comfortable. Hang on, yeah. So nearer to home and family members can visit. So if you happen to be in KL, so your parents or your siblings can visit you, and looking at your situation, whether you are in a way adapting to the new environment. Now, when we talk about culture shock, um, of course, I do have friends who I remembered last time when we were in KL, the first time he was in the plane. Not to say Sakai, yeah? You know Sakai, kan? First time in the plane. So that was like a culture shock. First time in the aeroplane. So when you reach there, wow, looking at the development, we feel like we are left behind. So all this is also become like culture shock. And knowing that in KL, it's not just about the Malay, Indian, Chinese race. There's a fusion of races, meaning that there are many people from different countries also staying around KL. So which is very exciting to see the fusion of cultures. So probably you see like certain culture shock. Yeah. If you go somewhere, for the example, like if you happen to be in Korea or in Japan, I think like one example, um, for me, it's a culture shock as well. Like when I was in Japan, you know, if you go to the restaurant normally after finish your meal, the waiter or the waitress will help to clean up your table. But I realized there was no waiter, there was no waitress. So I happened to leave the table with the plates, with the glass, with the fork, the spoons on the table. So it just happened that my friend was doing his PhD in Kyoto. So he was there with me. So he was telling me that, oh, you can't just leave your plates and your glass and your forks, the used plates, on the table. I said, why? Because part of the culture is after you finish your meal, you must clean your own plate. You must clean the fork, the spoon, and the glass. So can you imagine that I'm washing the plates, cleaning the plates? That was in Japan, yeah. And after that, I wipe the table. I feel like I'm working in that restaurant, but that's their culture, yeah. It's not the same like what we have here. After you finish your meal in the restaurant or in the coffee shop, then people just say, you just leave it like that, and the waiter or waitress will help to clean up. But it's actually very nice when you absorb that culture. I'll give you one example. If you happen to be in McDonald's or KFC, after finishing your meal, you see that most people will never dispose the bones or the leftover on the table. Just wait for the waiter or waitress to clean up the table, isn't it? But if you go to Korea or Japan, you see that it become the culture. Once they finish the meal, they will dispose, they will clean up the table so that they will allow for other people to come in and will not, be hassle to wait for the table to be cleaned up. So it's not our culture yet, but it has become the main culture. That's why maybe it's a culture shock for some of us. Okay, but anyway, remember that when we talk about culture shock here, and again, all the explanation of this 1, 2, 3, you must again look at the keyword here. Which one is better? Better study abroad or better to study locally? So what was the reason you want to study abroad? Yeah. Okay, so this is your opinion. So you come up with the 3 points, then after that you come up with examples. That's why in your exam, we always remember, explain. Hang on, yeah. So explain the main point, and after that you come up with the example. So you have example to prove and to support your main point. After that, you elaborate. Yeah. Elaborate means you further explain the example. Why do you use this kind of example? How this example in a way prove the main point? So elaborate is to prove the example. The example is to prove the explanation. The explanation is the main point. Okay, example. What kind of example? Example that can in a way for us to analyze. That I'll give you an example like just now. Family members can visit. So give an example. So now in essays, everything is logical. Yeah. If you do not write according to the structure, then it will be very difficult for you to get good marks. Remember, for essay number 2, task 2 is 60%. Okay, 60% is a lot. If you feel not a lot, I do not know. Yeah. And that's why your senior, I was pushing them, especially on the writing. You need to improve your writing score. That's why I think we sort of like made a improve the MUET result because we give more emphasis. I think for my class, your senior Chem 1, I give a lot of emphasis on essays, okay? Because essays, if you master essays very well, eventually you can improve your score and also improve your band score, yeah? Okay, so far so good, everyone.
Yes.
Okay, so let's just go down. I scroll down the example of white sample, yeah? Okay, now, this is the title here, Sports Unite People. Just happened that we have a Euro match, yeah? Sports Unite People. Now, do you have to write a title for your essay? You don't have to, but again, you look at the questions given. So very important that you pay attention on the keywords and make sure that you do not go off tangent, means you are out of topic. Even good students can make mistakes. Yeah, so remember that. Now, let me just tell you in your introduction, we always see the last sentence is always the important details. Okay, remember that the last sentence will be always the last, the most important details, which I call it as thesis statement. So when I mark your essay, ladies and gentlemen, when I mark your essay, I will straight away look at your thesis statement first. And I will also look at your main point. Yeah, your main point. Now, let's just go through. This is your thesis statement, the last sentence of introduction. Okay, so now, now I'm going to look into the first body paragraph. Sports are able to unite athletes from all parts of the world. Now, every main point from the body paragraph is related to the thesis statement. Now, let me just, I already highlighted here, sports are able to unite athletes from all parts of the world. Now, let's look here. Is it the same? Sports are able to unite athletes during games. It's the same, but the keyword is to unite athletes. To unite athletes. So far, so good. Boleh paham?
Boleh, sir.
Okay. Now, let's look at the second one. Okay. Sports do not only bring strangers together, but they can also bring family members together. I think I changed the color here. Okay, so sports do not only bring strangers together, but they can also bring family members together. So let's look at the second thesis. See, look here. Create bonding among family members. Okay, is it the same? Same, right? Look at that. They can also not only bring strangers together, but they can also bring family members together. You see how the writer is a student, yeah? Um, Expanding the main point, but still in a way try to link back the main ideas. Sports do not only bring strangers together, but they can also bring family members together. And we know that the main focus for this point will be on this one, family members. Okay, so that's why when you look at this, you can see that create bonding among family members. Hang on, yeah. Okay, so create bonding among family members. So I look at it, the bonding is bringing together, yeah. So among family members. All right, and let's look at the third part. Finally, not only facility. So let's just choose different color. Okay, maybe this one. Finally, not only facilitates in bringing athletes and families around the world to bond together, but also bring people from various walks of lives, in spite of the differences in beliefs, to stand united as a nation during the games. You notice that the third point is much longer, but you see the expansion of the idea, but still in a way very related from the first body paragraph to the second body paragraph. Finally, not only facilitates in bringing athletes and family around the world to bond together, but also bring people from various walks of life in spite of the differences. Okay, bring people. So the keyword here: bring people from various walks of life in spite of the differences in belief. Now, to stand united as a nation. To stand united as a nation, we just highlight this. So, to stand united as a nation during the games. So let's just check the third point here. Is it the same? Now, bring people from, eh, bring people from diverse background to stand united as a nation. It's the same, isn't it? So far, so good. So, bring people from diverse background, people from that to stand united as a nation. Okay, class, so far so good. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So it's the same, isn't it? Now, class, if you do not do like this, if you do not follow the structure, that's why in the exam, I'll be looking at your thesis statement. Okay, so thesis statement, you must have your thesis statement and your main point and your main point. So this is your main point and this is your main point. This structure is very important because I always remind my students, if you do that, then you are, I would say, eligible. Eligible in a way for you to go for band 4. If you do not have the structure, then we will be looking at band 3 and below. Do you understand? Yeah. Of course, that's one of the criteria for you to go for higher band. If you do not have all this structure, then forget about band 4, especially high band 4. Now, let's look at the sub-conclusion. Sub-conclusion is very important, yeah? So let's just choose different color. Okay, blue. Now, sub-conclusion is sort of like conclusion, but to reinforce of what you have explained. So here, therefore, sports are able to create unity among people from different parts of the world, even if it is a momentary one. So again, what's the key word here? To create unity among people from different parts of the world. Now, the idea here, sports are able to unite athletes from all parts of the world. So the explanation talk about how in a way that athletes are actually, while playing games, whether in Olympics or competing in Olympics or playing games like football, World Cup. Now, the whole idea is how it is actually able to unite athletes. But here, to create unity among people, so you can change this word. You can still use back the keyword, the athletes, yeah? Okay, so far so good. So this is one example, some conclusion. So you need to match with the keyword. Now, second one is, some people may see sports as a waste of time, but perceive it as a good time for people to come together. So um, here we talk about family. So probably, even though the writer, the student in a way wrote and mentioned about bring family together. So I think you need to, now the whole idea is to show the big idea, but no, it's not wrong if you sort of like reinforce. It is true that it's not a waste of time. Some people may see sport as a waste of time, but perceive it as a good time for family members to come together. So again, you can change the keyword here. So it becomes more consistent with the main point. Yeah, so family member. Okay, now the final part here. Hence, it is evident that sports bring everyone to come together and thus make us proud as a united nation. So in a way that I think this part here shows the bigger goal, yeah, to bring everyone to come together. So um, it's the same with this one, bring people from various walks of life in spite of the differences. So, and proud as a united nation. And this third point is the bigger goal. Yeah, you see that from the first part is the athlete, the second part is the family members, and the third part is it includes everyone. So you can see the level that it has gone through, in a way, how sports unite people. Yeah. So bring everyone to come together and thus make us proud as a united nation. Now, remember, if you have sub conclusion in your essay, in a way, again, I mentioned, yeah, how in a way that you are qualified for band 4. Band 4. If you do not have your sub conclusion, like what I have highlighted at the last paragraph of body paragraph, like the first one about family, the blue color, yeah, the blue highlight. If you do not have the sub conclusion, I don't see any sub conclusion there, but you have your structure for your your main point. Thesis statement and the main point, yes. So what are the criteria for you to be qualified to go for band 4 and above? Remember that. So that's the thing that you need to remember. In your introduction, I have my thesis statement. My main point, in each body paragraph, main point and sub-conclusion. Introduction, I have my thesis statement, my main point, sub-conclusion. Okay? And of course, the conclusion. So the conclusion here, so maybe we can use orange color. So in conclusion, it is clear that sports unite people within a family, country, and globally. Globally, okay. Um, so of course, the students explain we are willing to forego our political differences and views for the sake of games. We come together to either play or cheer for our team. Sports show how much alike we are due to our passion towards game. We do not need blah 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 blah. So let's hope that the togetherness that all of us witnessed and experienced during the World Cup 2018 will go beyond the need to bring unity and peace. Now, again, when the student write and explain the conclusion, again, what's the keyword here? How do we know that sports unite people? So the keyword is about unity. So when you explain your ideas as to conclude, you still want to sort of like recommend that sports in a way really bring unity. So you mentioned all the relevant details and in a way hoping that all of us can be united through sports. Okay. And it's the same with the introduction. Remember when you do your introduction, um, when we talk about hook, yeah? Hook means hook. To hook your interest, to hook your attention. How in a way that I start my essay and straight away I'm able to hook the examiner. See how the student explained the world came to a standstill last month. Okay, every television, news, sports channels, and websites around the globe focus on the most awaited and celebrated sports of all, the FIFA World Cup 2018. So that's how the student or the writer started the introduction. So you can see that he or she has not mentioned anything about unity yet, but just to start the essay in a way that everything was stopped for a while when FIFA World Cup appeared on the television. It seems like everyone stopped. Millions of people stopped what they were doing ritually in their daily lives, whether eating dinner with family members or working late at nights at office and sacrificing their sleep just to root for their favorite football team. So you see that how the writer, yeah, can you see how the writer in a way hook our attention, even though whether it is true or not, but in a way we imagine that the FIFA World Cup in a way managed to stop everyone. Imagine if the FIFA World Cup stopped all the war. That would be like tremendously quite amazing, yeah, if it able to do that. But when you write your introduction, think about how can I hook the attention of the readers or hook the attention of the examiners. Okay. Surprisingly, for many, including myself, the teams that we supported did not even come from our own country. Yet, for the love of sports and football in particular, we supported teams of other nations and together celebrated their victories. So, unity can be created through sports. Okay. So unity can be created through sports. Now, because the new format, depending on the questions, whether some questions, um, in a way that you prove that you can, when you talk about expressing your opinion, you can choose that you sports in a way unite people, or maybe sports disunite people. So it's either opposite or you go straight forward. Yeah. So here the argument here, I know that the writer will talk about how unity can be created or how unity can be shown through sports. Sports in this context refers to both competitive and recreational games, while people is defined as individual sports teams and the global dwellers. So if you look at the part here, whereby the the students come up with the definition. Okay, there's a definition here. Without any doubt, I strongly believe that sports are able. So after that, we move to the thesis statement. So in when you start your introduction, depending on the keywords, you may define and you may explain. So again, when you start your essay introduction, how can you hook the readers, hook the examiners, and hook the audience? Okay. So far, so good, everyone.
Yes, sir.
Good,
Okay.
sir.
So that's the information that you need to pay attention. Yeah. For this one. Just a minute.